What is up, Techno fam? What's going on? Chana D, your Techno Dad here, and I hope you're having a great day. Now, last week I put out a video and I did want it to be a little on the controversial side, and hey, we got over 600 comments and great discussion back and forth, even though there was a bunch of haters that told me I had no idea what was going on. But anyway, I did get a really cool perspective on the whole situation, and this is kind of like a part two and kind of like showing you guys exactly what I found out and what conclusion it leads to. And basically what it means is if you have a 5.1.2 or 5.1.4 Dolby Atmos configuration where your couch or main listening position is right up against the wall and your surrounds are not behind you, they're actually like flanking your main listening position. Basically, they're like side surrounds. If that is your setup, you're definitely going to want to watch this video because what I have to say is going to blow your mind. And if you don't even have that setup, then you should definitely also still watch because you will actually learn something. We're going to get into it right after the jump. And I am back. And before we begin, I want to give a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. But I do want to make this video a little bit shorter, so I'm not going to get into all that other stuff. And your names are going to continue to fly up the screen. So there you go. Thank you guys so much. You're awesome. Become a patron. Link in the description. Anyway, before we get into like the whole what's going on, what happened between last week and this week, if you don't know what the numbers mean for any of these surround sound like 5.1.2, 5.1.4, 7.1.4, I'm going to assume you already know that, so I don't have to explain that in this video. However, I did make a video back in 2017 about all the numbers and what that means. So if you don't know what any of that means, definitely check out that video. Link is down in the description and I'll put a card up top as well. Now, before we get into what I found out, we also need to kind of cover generally what is the difference between channel-based surround sound and object-based surround sound. Now, Dolby Atmos is object-based, just like DTS-X, and before that we had channel-based, which was Dolby True HD and DTS Master Audio. Well, in channel-based audio, when the audio engineer mixes for the movie, it puts specific sounds in specific speakers. And if you didn't have those speakers, you wouldn't be hearing those sounds. Like if I have a 5.1 system, like I do upstairs, 5.1, 5 ear level speakers, and I'm listening to a track that has a 7.1, like a Dolby True HD. Since I don't have surround back speakers, whatever sounds are going on in those speakers, I just won't hear them. That's just it. Yeah, plain and simple, right? If you don't have the speakers, you don't hear the sound. And on the flip side, if I had a 7.1, so 7 ear level speakers, but I'm watching something off of the DirecTV box, which I know comes in only as 5.1, then there's going to be no sound coming out of those surround back speakers because the content isn't mixed for 7.1, right? So if you want to hear all the sounds, you got to have all the channels. If you don't have the channels, you don't hear the sound. Pretty simple, right? In object-based, it's a little bit different. So in Dolby Atmos, the minimum mixing, studio is 7.1.4. Now, if you play back on a 5.1.2, there's going to be some sounds that would normally be behind you. They might be in a different place, or they might be above you, and they might be down in the surround. So it kind of matrixes to your playback system. Now, on the other hand, if you have a 7.1.4 Dolby Atmos setup and, they mix in 7.1.4, then yeah, it's going to probably be the optimal situation. And if you have anything higher, like 9.1.6, let's say, then yeah, it'll matrix up. So it'll use all those channels and it'll put those sounds in the right speakers for, wherever that sound is supposed to be in a 3D space. I was lucky enough to experience a 13.6.8 home theater at CEDIA 2019. Now, I say home theater in quotes because I think it cost around $900,000 and it was done by Wisdom Audio and it was fantastic. I'll tell you that. But yeah, it had 13 ear level speakers, 6 subwoofers, and 8 height channels. And so with, object-based surround sound, it utilizes your entire system, even though it was only mixed on a 7.1.4 setup. So those are the main differences. Just a broad generalization just to get everybody up to speed so you kind of understand where I'm going to go in this video. All right, so what happened in last week's video is, I was telling people what I was hearing and what I was experiencing. A lot of people said I didn't know what I was talking about. But Jeremy had this really amazing comment and response, and he said I was slightly wrong. And, thinking about what he said and, just kind of revisiting things and testing things out a little bit more, I realized I wasn't wrong in what I was hearing. I was wrong in why I was hearing what I was hearing. And I'm totally cool to, say I was wrong because, I don't claim to know everything. And, so yeah, I'm still learning because there's a whole lot to learn. If you guys want to see that comment and see what, he's explaining Dolby Atmos, it'll be the pinned comment on the previous week's video, which is down in the description. Okay, so basically what I was talking about was when you have a movie that's mixed in 7.1.4 and your playback system is 5.1.2 or even 5.1.4, we're going to have some anomalies when it comes to the sounds that are supposed to be in the surround back channels or behind you, right? Why is that? It's because we don't have those speakers there. Now, one of the reasons why I was hearing something weird is because my speakers are flanking my main listening position on either side. So I went ahead and took my buddy Joe from the Joe and Tell channels. What's up, Joe? Thanks for the tip. He's like, why don't you just play a call out and you'll hear where the sounds are coming from? I'm like, oh, right, duh. So I picked up the old Dolby Atmos demo disc, which has a test tone for multiple configurations, but the one we were looking for was 7.1.4. So I played the test tones. And in this demo, it shows like a little speaker layout, little living room situation. And, it highlights a speaker. And when that speaker is highlighted, it's actually playing pink noise out of that speaker. When we're going through and getting to the side surround right, I hear pink noise coming out of my right side surround. And then when it goes to surround back right, I hear pink noise coming out of my surround right. And when it goes over to surround back left, I hear that sound coming out of my side surround left. And then when we get to side surround left, I hear that sound coming out of side surround left. So I thought the surround back channels were just kind of folded into the side surround channels, but that's actually not the case. The problem here is the limitation of my room and the fact that the AVR doesn't know that my surround speakers are on either side of me, because the Dolby Atmos spec or speaker configuration for 5.1.2 or 5.1.4 shows that the surrounds are behind the main listening position, kind of angled inward a little bit. And since those speakers are technically behind you, the sounds that you would hear in your surround back channels would also be played through your surround channels. And since the AVR doesn't know that our surround channels are on our sides, we are now hearing sounds that are supposed to be behind us. We're hearing those to our sides. And this is the issue. Now, I know a lot of you in Facebook groups and comment sections talk about artistic intent or director's intent. Do you think if the director had sounds behind us, wanted those sounds to be next to us? Probably not, right? I mean, the whole artistic intent, director's intent is a whole nother can of worms, which I'll save for another video. But think about it. If the sounds were supposed to be behind us and now they're on the sides of us, doesn't that give us a different viewing experience altogether? I would say so, right? So the big question is, what can we do about it? I mean, I can't change where my speaker layout is. And I know some people in my comment section were all super rude about it. They're like, oh, well, you need to have a home theater that, allows for that. Oh, thanks, dude. You're going to buy me one? Yeah, you're going to hook me up with a new house? Cool. You're not? Oh. Well, then why would you say something stupid like that? I don't know. Anyway, now I'm thinking, should people with, my room setup where the couch or the main listening position is butt up against the wall and your surround speakers are flanking you, facing inward, what should we do? Should we go back to a channel-based surround sound to get a better representation of the audio track and what's happening spatially around us? That is the question. Now, I know a lot of these discs, have a 7.1 Dolby True HD mix or a DTS master audio mix in 7.1 as well. So if I were to play one of those, yeah, I only have 5 ear level speakers, so the information that's going to the surround back channels are just not going to be there. Which, yeah, is also not really the greatest because, yeah, if something's behind you, we should be able to hear it. But since we don't have speakers there, we will hear the stuff on the sides of us that are actually supposed to be on the sides of us. So that part is a little bit more accurate, but then we are missing that one dimension of having the sound coming from behind us. And then you're like, well, I spent all this money, put high channels in, wired them up. What about using the height channels? Now, I'm fortunate enough that I have a Denon X6700H, which actually supports Oro 3D, because I can now, use the Dolby True HD 7.1 mix, and I can upmix it using Oro 3D to now utilize my 5 height channels, because I also have the Voice of God channel. So I have 5 speakers on my ceiling, and now I can have a immersive audio experience without hearing the sounds from behind me because I don't have speakers back there. And I'll have speakers on the sides of me, which will have the appropriate content coming out of them because it was mixed for that purpose. And I will have the use of my height channels because Oro 3D Upmixer is utilizing my entire setup. So for me, it's not really that big of a deal. I can just, let me just use the True HD audio and upmix it via Oro 3D. Now, if you guys don't know what Oro 3D is, I did a big old video about it, going back to the history and this, that, and the other. But real quick, Oro 3D was the first immersive audio format, and then came, a while later came Dolby Atmos, then Dolby Atmos for home, and then DTS-X. So it was the first kid on the block, and that guy Wilfried did a whole lot, I think like 7 years of research and development to get the Oro 3D upmixer to work as well as it does. And I don't know if you saw my video about upmixing bad Atmos mixes, but there are plenty of bad Atmos mixes, and if you do have an Oro 3D upmixer, you should definitely aid those bad Atmos mixes by upmixing them to Oro. It's actually a really, really surprising thing. Like, some of these movies just sound so much better. And since Oro 3D is a channel-based immersive audio format, then we don't have that issue of, well, the AVR has to figure out where to put the sound, but the AVR doesn't know where my speakers are located in my room. So that is all just thrown out the window when I'm using the Dolby True HD and then upmixing to Oro 3D. So it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. So this is what I learned in the last week with all of the great comments. I also learned from all the crappy comments that a lot of you have no idea what you're talking about. And then you're telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this home theater thing since 1994. So yeah, long time. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. And if you are in my situation where you have a room set up where your side surrounds are your surrounds and you can't put any speakers behind you, does this make you rethink your, purchase on Dolby Atmos? Because I put a buttload of money into my system too, and I also have a 7.1.4 system here in the studio. Obviously, this is a very small space and the speakers are really small, but I got one chair, and it sounds amazing in here. And I wish I could have a fully rectangular room where I could put a dedicated theater. I just don't have that kind of space. So, I'm limited in the fact that my home theater is in my living room, and a lot of you, it's the same. So let me know, you guys that have the same room setup that I do, what does this mean for you? And did you ever think about this? Did you know about this? Did you realize this was happening? Let me know in the comments. And, definitely subscribe up because I just got that new Pioneer VSX LX505 9-channel AVR with 11 channels of processing and Dirac Live. I got some videos about that coming up pretty soon, so make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you know when all the cool videos dropped. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Me.